This is going to have to be one of the quickest wrap-up videos I've ever done, ever. Hi, my name's Reagan. Welcome to today's video. First of all, I have to leave for camp in like an hour, and then I'm leaving for the beach and coming back on the 31st, but on the 31st I have work. So my only option is to film this today on Friday the 29th. We're gonna go real quick. This month I read potentially 12 books, and it is July. The first book I read in July was The Summer Broken Rules by Kale, Walther. I read this in a reading vlog. I'll link it up here. This book I gave 3 stars. Oh, actually, apparently I gave it 4 stars. Probably should have been a 3. This book was about Meredith Fox, and she recently lost her sister Claire. She refuses to let the death of her sister affect her summer. She is invited to this wedding at Martha's Vineyard, and she meets a cute groomsman and ends up teaming up with him to play the family game of Assassin. This was a really cute and quick summer read. I mean, I remember a lot of what I read in here, but it really didn't affect me in any way. I wasn't super connected to the characters. The partnership happened really quickly in the beginning, so it didn't give me a chance to latch onto the relationship and really enjoy it. The game of Assassin was really fun. The big family aspect was really fun. It's kind of insta-lovey, not that it felt insta-lovey, but this whole book takes place over a week. I didn't really notice that it was taking place over a week, but it is an accelerated timeline. The relationship is under a lot of pressure time-wise. Should be a 3 stars. The next book I read was The Kiss Quotient by Helen, Huang. I read this in the same exact reading vlog. I rated this 5 stars. This is about Stella Lane, who is, I can't ever pronounce it, econometrist. Duh. And she has Asperger's. This series by Helen Huang, every main character is on the autism spectrum, and I really enjoyed this series. This was a reread for me. In this book we follow Stella, and her mother has been suggesting that she needs to find someone to settle down with. And Stella does not like relationships. She doesn't like being intimate with people. She decides that she's gonna hire somebody to teach her how to be intimate in a relationship setting. She ends up hiring an escort named Michael Fan. He's a really great love interest. I really loved him. This whole book is super fun, and I love all of Helen Huang's books. Really recommend this. The last book I read in that reading vlog is The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Holton. I rated this 3 stars, and I say that's a really accurate rating for this book. So in my notes I wrote, just read the back to explain to you what this book is. So I'm gonna do that. Cecilia Bashingthwaighte is the ideal Victorian lady. She is also a thief. Like other members of the Wisteria Crime Society, she flies around England drinking tea, blackmailing friends, and acquiring treasure by interesting means. Sure, she has a dark and traumatic past and an overbearing aunt, but all things considered, it is a pleasant existence until the men show up. Ned Lightbourne is a sometime assassin who is smitten with Cecilia from the moment they meet. Unfortunately, that happens to be while he's under direct orders to kill her. His employer, Captain Morvath, who possesses a Gothic abbey bristling with cannons and unbridled hate for the world, intends to rid England of all of its presumptuous women, starting with the Wisteria Society. Ned has plans of his own, but both men have made one grave mistake: never underestimate a woman. When Morvath imperils the Wisteria Society, Cecilia is forced to team up with her handsome would-be assassin to save the woman who raised her, hopefully proving once and for all that she is as much of a scoundrel as the rest of them. That blurb really sums it up perfectly. This was a really, really cute book. It took me a little bit longer to get into because it is in 3rd person. I ended up really liking 3rd person. This book is hilarious. I would explain this to you as Bridgerton meets Enola Holmes. It was really interesting, really fun. I don't not recommend it, but just be aware that when you go into it, this will probably not be your favorite book you've ever read, but it was a really fun read, and the cover is super cute. The next book I read was Electric Idol by Katee Robert, and this is the second in the Neon Gods series. The second book does refer to the events of the first book a lot, which is Neon Gods by Katee Roberts, which I have right here. I rated this book 3 stars, plainly because I didn't like it as much as the first book. This book, I didn't really feel connected to the characters. I didn't care about Eros or Psyche. I kind of guessed what was gonna happen, like how they could get around this huge issue that they were having, but let me give you a synopsis. So this book follows, the first book follows Persephone and Hades. It's a retelling, and then this second book follows Eros and Psyche. Psyche is another one of Demeter's daughters, so Persephone's sister, and then Eros is the son of Aphrodite. Eros is considered his mother's fixer. He's her kind of assassin, he does all of her dirty work. Psyche is this social media influencer socialite. She's very popular, but very hated by Aphrodite. Eros's mother, Aphrodite, wants Eros to kill Psyche. Eros has a problem with this. They have to come up with a way together to save Psyche's life. I recommend the first one more. This one was okay. A lot of people on TikTok have been talking about this one. It just didn't meet my expectations of the first one. We're slowly making progress. The next book I don't have with me, but I read Lore by Alexandra Bracken. I gave this 2 stars. I don't really want to go through my thoughts again because I already said it in my 24-hour reading vlog, so if you haven't watched that, go watch it. So in the world of lore, this is another Greek mythology book. Every 7 years, the gods are turned mortal and they are sent down to a city to be hunted by the hunters in something called the Agon. And if you kill a god, basically you get their powers and become the new god until the next Agon where you're hunted. We follow Lore. She sort of participates in this most recent Agon. We kind of see how the Agon has affected her family. I don't think it's a bad concept. I don't even think it's a bad book, to be honest. I rated this as 2 stars purely on the fact that I was not in the mood to read it. I just didn't want to read it, so it was really hard for me to get through and I didn't enjoy it. And I rate purely on enjoyment. If you love Greek mythology and you like how this book sounds, I totally recommend it. I think this is a great book to read. I don't think it's a bad book whatsoever. I just did not enjoy it in the moment. The next book I read was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I rated this 4 stars, and this is about Lucy Hutton and Joshua Templeman, and they are enemies. They work in the same publishing company, and there ends up being an opening in a job position. So they end up having to compete for this job, and in the process they end up finding out that they maybe don't hate each other as much as they thought. It's really good, really fun, really quick read. I would recommend this. The characters are super cute. The enemies to lovers is super fun. I felt like this was a real enemies to lovers, not the like stab them in the throat kind of enemies. Like they genuinely hated each other in the beginning of this book. It was a great time. The next book I read was on audio and it was Below Zero by Hazelwood, 3rd STEMinist novella in her trilogy of STEMinist novellas. I love these novellas. They are so good. I'd honestly say this is my least favorite of the 3, but still it was amazing. I rated it 4 stars. It follows Hannah, who is a new employee at NASA, and it also follows Ian, who has worked for NASA for a while now, and he ends up letting her interview him for a class project for her college, and they hit it off. It's great, and then something happens and they end up hating each other. In these novellas, Hazelwood loves to do like a split timeline kind of thing. It's really good. I really recommend these. They're quick reads. She's coming out with them in paperback. I'm so excited. I'm gonna buy them. Great. 4 stars. Next I read From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. This is my second Mariana Zapata book I have ever read. I really enjoyed this one though. I rated this one 4 stars. Honestly, Mariana Zapata books, they're really fun. I like the beginnings, but they are just really slow. Like I love a slow burn, but this is almost just too slow for me. Let me give you a synopsis. We've got Jasmine and then Ivan in this book, and they are rivals. They're skating rivals. Ivan is like an Olympic medalist. He's so successful, and then Jasmine is having trouble finding a partner to skate with. Then we have Ivan coming to her and asking her to partner with him for a year, just a year, but they still hate each other, so they're partnered together and they have to skate together when they are enemies. I thought this was really cool. I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to see as many of the competitions. Instead, we saw most of the practice. The relationship was really cute. I don't know. I just enjoyed it. Favorite Mariana Zapata book I've read so far. Yeah. The next book I read was Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. I read her first book, It Happened One Summer, last month, and I rated this either 4 or 4.5 stars. Maybe just 4, honestly. I'm gonna be real, I didn't like this one as much as It Happened One Summer. It Happened One Summer was disliked to lovers, and this was more friends to lovers, but I still really did enjoy this. This follows Hannah. The first book is Piper and Brendan, and the second book is Piper's sister, which is Hannah, and Brendan's best friend, which is Fox. These books take place in Westport, which is a small small fishing village near Seattle. Hannah has convinced her boss, who is a movie director, I believe, to film his movie in Westport. And so Hannah needs a place to stay, and she ends up asking Fox, Brendan's best friend, to crash. And they've had this online relationship. They've been texting each other since the last time they met, and they have become really good friends. While Piper is staying in Fox's house, they kind of get closer and start to become more than friends. I really love how this duology also focuses on the main character as a whole rather than just the life with their relationship. You saw a lot of Hannah's character development in this book and her gaining confidence in herself, and I really enjoyed that. Super cute, great summer read. I read it really quickly. Then I read The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I rated this 5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. Not only is the cover gorgeous, but the story is amazing. This trilogy follows 3 brothers. Their grandfather was the founder of this place called Dreamland. Just think of it as Disneyland. But their grandfather has died, and he's left them a percentage each of his company. These 3 brothers don't just get to claim their inheritance, they have to earn it. So their grandfather has given each brother one task and a time frame. They have to complete this task in order to earn their inheritance. This first book follows the youngest, ? There's Declan, which is the oldest, and then there's Cal and Rowan, which I don't know the order of. This one follows Rowan and Zahara. Zahara is an employee at Dreamland, and her family has been employees there forever. His task is that he has to come up with a project to improve Dreamland in the time frame of 6 months. So he ends up traveling to Florida, where Dreamland is, to work as I want to call them Imagineers because that's what Disney calls them, but that's not what they're called. Basically, just think of them as Imagineers. But Zahara ends up submitting this drunken proposal about what Rowan should change about the theme park. Surprisingly, he accepts it. He thinks it's a great idea. So Zahara and Rowan end up having to work together to complete this project so Rowan can earn his inheritance. Now, they are enemies to lovers. I love this book. I don't even know how to explain it. Rowan is just this, I love him. He's amazing. He is so sweet. He's attention to Zahara. He's very considerate. He cares about her so much, and it's so clear. And I also love Zahara. She's this eccentric, bubbly, excited personality. It's very grumpy sunshine. I don't know why I said enemies to lovers. It's definitely more of a grumpy sunshine. I loved it. It was so good. They were an amazing couple. The next book I read was The Deal. It's the first book in the off-campus series by Elle Kennedy. I hear people talk about this all the time on Book Talk and BookTube. I also rated this 5 stars. So the end of my reading month is going great. This book follows Hannah Wells. I've read 3 books about Hannah's this month. So we have Hannah Wells, who is a music major at this college in Massachusetts, I believe, and Garrett Graham. He plays for that school's hockey team, and this hockey team is like a huge deal. They're up north. Hockey is super big up there. Basically, they meet in their ethics class where Hannah just passed this final and Garrett did not. And if he doesn't end up passing this makeup of the final, he is going to be suspended from the hockey team. He realizes that Hannah got an A on this final that everyone else failed, and he's like, I need this girl to tutor me. He pesters her until she agrees to tutor him, but she only agrees to tutor him when he suggests that he can make her crush jealous. Hannah's crushing on this football player, big deal, just like the hockey players, so they end up fake dating. This book was actually really good. I honestly didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I was kind of concerned it was going to be like misogynistic, lol. It ended up being fairly good. I really enjoyed it. The only thing that really got on my nerves was they were kind of like describing Hannah's outfit. It was like her bangs were swept to the side. She was wearing a t-shirt with a music note on it. And I was like picturing her and I was like, oh no, it's a 2000s girly. And I'll pop a picture of like the side bang style up on the screen that I'm thinking of. I was like, no, I can't picture her like this. That was funny, but I love the characters. I love the fake relationship. Garrett was so sweet. I love how this also focused on kind of these 2 characters' history of abusive relationships and abuse in general, so huge trigger warning for that. But so it wasn't just about the relationship. Go into detail a little bit more about them as like characters, which I like. Those are the books that I finished in July. But lastly, I have a book that I'm working on right now that I'm honestly probably going to finish before the 31st, and I'll pop in and show a little clip. That is the second book in the Dreamland Billionaires series called Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. I'm on page 328 8, pretty close to being done, and I'll let you know my thoughts if I end up finishing it. This is editing Reagan after I've finished Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. So I ended up giving this one 3 stars. That is because I didn't like it as much as the first one. Honestly, I did not care about Declan or Iris that much. Yeah, it was a good book. There wasn't anything really wrong with it. I just think that the relationship got started too quickly in the beginning. I just didn't care about these characters as much. I was really attached to Rowan and Zahara, and I think I was a little bit disappointed that this book didn't follow them, even though I went in knowing that this book didn't follow them. But I would still recommend. The series is really good. Can't wait for the 3rd one to come out. That is all the books I read in the month of July. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all. Thank you for watching. Go follow my socials down below. Check out my other videos. Subscribe, like, comment. Tell me how your reading month went. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.